Welcome to Soapdish, and welcome
Woo!
back to my co-host, Teri Knight.
Oh, it feels good to be back.
I haven't seen you forever.
I know. It's been sad. I've missed you.
Yes, me too. You as well. We haven't had our therapy sessions of Bold and Beautiful.
Exactly. I know. And it's been so traumatic.
I know,
Well,
I
we'll
know.
get to all that.
All right, so before
Yes.
we get started, you and I talked
Hmm.
about it, but I just want to
Yeah.
acknowledge it again. Is that
Yes.
I did this with Luann on our earlier Soapdish, Young and Restless, but uh, honor the two officers and one paramedic firefighter that was killed in Burnsville, Minnesota, responding
Yeah.
to a domestic. I told Teri, I worked in the field for many years and went to a lot of cops' funerals, and there's nothing like it, unfortunately. Um,
No.
just because the outpouring, and the closeness of the officers, and I think it because we all know how dangerous it is. It tends to be kind of a well glued group
Yes.
of people.
You are absolutely community, you know?
Yeah,
And I went to junior and senior high in Burnsville,
yeah, that's
and
right.
I lived there for an additional 15 years.
Yeah,
And and my brother had known the Burnsville police on occasion, and they always were really good handling him.
oh,
He
good.
had his own addiction issues, so and you know what those calls are like.
Yeah,
And they they were always really good. And my heart just goes out to the whole community because you all feel it,
yeah,
every one of you. It's
yeah.
not, you don't have to work with them
Right.
directly to
That's
feel it.
right.
So, yeah.
And then when you hear what happens, you think about the times that's what I go through when
Yeah.
because I've worked very closely with some officers that were killed in the line of duty, um, you can see yourself in that scenario, and you think, except for the good Lord, I'm still here. But
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know, it can happen to
Yeah.
anybody, any officer at any time. So
Yeah, it can. And I think people need to understand what that's like as much as we can, not being in the field.
right.
Um, the the constant vigilance
Hmm.
that you have to have in a split second.
Hmm.
And I hope that this helps people understand that first responders are an amazing community and we do have to support them. There's always bad apples in some
Oh,
occasion. I mean,
sure.
but the, all the officers that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with quite a few, um, have always been solid, good people that I would trust with my life.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had many partners and people I worked with that I knew they'd be there if I ever needed anything, and that, they're just,
Yeah.
most of them are exceptional people. And you're right.
Yes.
I always tell people when I hear cop bashing, I think, well, what profession are you in? Well, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber or a mechanic or a brain
Right.
surgeon. Do you have good
Hmm.
ones and bad ones? And they say, well, yeah, well, police officers are human. It's the same thing. You're not going to get away from that.
That's right.
But you got to keep in mind that 99.8% of them are really good people. And so
Yes.
uh, we need to
Yeah.
quit highlighting all the negative stuff when we see a bad incident, and think about all the good that, like they always say, that you think of all the critical incidents that occur, it's really, really a small, small percentage
Right.
where an officer's wrong or out of line. And does it happen? Yes. But it's it's
Sure.
it's really quite
Human.
rare when you think about the percentages of time that officers are dealing with situations that can go really bad, really fast.
Yeah. And
So,
that's the thing I think people don't understand is because the the good things that happen don't get
no, they don't get the
the
recognition.
recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Although I will say this, I do think the media lately has gotten better just
Yes.
recently about pointing out this officer went and did that. Well, yeah, that stuff's been going on forever, but it just wasn't highlighted. It wasn't covered. So
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
enough
So,
said.
all right.
Thank you,
Yes.
Teri, for that, for allowing me to stand on my soapbox, and let's talk about
Absolutely.
something less serious.
Soap dishy.
Soap dishing. All right,
Okay.
let's talk bold and beautiful.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to back up a little bit because it's been a while since you and I
Yes.
talked, but let's go back to the Eric Forrester when he had a party at the Forrester Estate with his family and friends. And I always like how they go around and they make these parties. They're always going to happen like that day. It's always kind of fun.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We're going to throw this together.
And they were so dressed up.
Oh, I know.
It's like, oh my God, I can't imagine doing that. Give me a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt sometimes. And it's,
Well, you and I hang out at the same places.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
We're not rich and famous.
No, I'm okay with that.
Me too. All right. So the thing that was surprising, I didn't see this coming, but Eric ended up proposing to Donna marriage. And I'm like, wow, I should have probably anticipated that, but I really didn't.
I didn't either. I was shocked by that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then thought I was concentrating more on him and his health and all that. And I hadn't really dawned on me, you know.
It's going to get interesting for them too.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at this party, Luna, she's our subject today on a lot of it. Luna is at the party and all of a sudden realizes she doesn't feel real well. So she goes to the guest house, which is kind of next door, the way I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she ends up going to sleep at the guest house. Well, later that night we learn, well, let me say this. So the next morning she realizes that she had spent the night not with RJ, who she thought she had, but with Zende. Mm-hmm. And wow, that actually was a pretty good scene to actually see both Zende and Luna's response to like, oh shit, what just happened here?
Yes. I thought they played that very well. And one thing that I was surprised at is clearly Luna was not acting right. I mean, she was a little bit more than she normally would be. Yeah. So that was kind of like, RJ, you should have, I think, might have recognized that something's not quite right, or waited for a car to come for her. Right. Or called the car. So that kind of...
a little weird so then that he waits. You're right. That he waits till the next morning to really kind of try to catch up with her and figure out.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
so, all right. So Luna, after this is all over, they're freaked out. Zende and Luna, within hours, I would say, probably the way it looked, she confides, calls her mom, Poppy, and after they start talking about what she drank, what she ate, what did she do, it's realized that Luna actually took some of Poppy's, I call them magic pills. Yes. We don't know what she calls them, mints, but I don't know,
Yeah, they're happy mints.
Happy mints of some sort. Mm-hmm. And it greatly affected her to the point where she was kind of hallucinating, I would say, and ends up making passionate whoopee with Zende.
That's a delicate way of putting that, but yes, that's exactly what happened. And you know what? I was surprised and happy to see Zende, and I'm glad that they played it that way. Feel bad and say, "Oh my God, I would have never done that." That I thought, I'm glad they did that. But, him all of a sudden now being in love with her, it's like, you know what, you asshole?
He's such a jerk.
You knew that she was involved with RJ. She wouldn't just show up there. But, yeah, whatever.
Still, is a soap opera, Teri.
Oh, all right.
All right, so, So anyway, now Luna's mad at Poppy, as you would expect. Like what
Oh,
the hell,
yes. Yeah.
and Luna's feeling amazing remorse,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
for what happened. And I'm thinking, wow, I mean, I get it, but I mean, she's really,
Yeah.
really feeling remorse and guilt right now.
Well, and I think part of that speaks to her age and inexperience, in terms of the character, because she seems more sheltered and that sort of thing, because it wasn't her fault.
No, I know.
So, but the whole thing about RJ being her first and, trying to keep it innocent, so to speak.
Right.
It she's young, so it's going to be, but I was kind of wondering, should she tell him the truth? Because if it's going to affect her to that point, they're not going to have the relationship that they want,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a question on that in Super SUDSY for
Ooh,
you coming up.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's see. So what else was I going to say about that? I had a thought.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you mentioned it. But Zende
Yep.
ends up telling, this is a part that pissed me off, is that Zende
Yes.
ends up telling Luna that she should leave. In other
Yes.
words, you should just leave RJ and come and end up being my gal or my girlfriend.
Yes. That's
What?
a bunch of crap. And then with Eric saying that he wants Zende to mentor her,
Yeah.
having no clue.
Right. Having
It's
no
like,
clue.
yeah, but I thought that was a jerk move on Zende's part. And I still think that he's just jealous of RJ, and that even though he played it very well, and I was actually impressed with the acting that he did, I
For
still
him
think,
especially, yeah.
yes, I still think that he's a jerk, and
I
that
just don't like him.
I don't like him either.
I don't like him as an actor, and I don't like his character because
No.
he's got that. Let's back up before this happened and what a smug look he has on his face. When, when he's talking to RJ, like he's some sort of. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
as if
I don't
it's
like him.
and as if it would be RJ's fault that he's the
Right.
son of Brooke and Ridge.
Right. Is he supposed to apologize for that?
No.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting story to follow.
Yes,
for sure.
it will be.
All right, so let's talk about the next big one, the big story on the bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back up a little bit because I think it's going to set up where we are. Earlier, a week or so ago, there was a fight between Sheila and Steffy. And Steffy, I'm sorry, too many S names.
Yes.
Steffy punched Sheila. That was awesome.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also said the only way to get rid of her is death.
Yes.
And I have a gut feeling, and we'll talk more in Super SUDSY, but I think that statement and that punch is going to come back to haunt her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me, but we'll talk for
Just
sure.
Just based on how soaps go,
Yes. Yes.
All right. So this week.
Yes.
Today is Thursday. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday this week? You probably remember. That was when this woman shows up at her house. So Steffi's home alone. Finn's at work. He called her on the phone, hangs up, says, she wanted him to come home. He says, I'll be home soon. And about this time, she hears something outside her house, and she goes down to a cupboard, and she ends up pulling out, turns out it's a knife, a big knife, right?
Yeah, well, she was starting to chop some
that's
vegetables. Right. And before that, it's clearly Sheila with a veil over her head and saying, "Tonight you die." Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She said it, but nobody's gonna know
Nobody
that.
heard it. Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
If Sheila's in the woods and says something, there's a joke
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Did she really say it?
Did she really say it, Teri?
Mm-hmm.
That's the $1,000 question.
Yes.
All right. So Steffi jumps out with that knife, and there's this woman in her house with a black hooded sweatshirt on,
Mm-hmm.
and it sure looks like Sheila, like you said.
Yes.
She ends up kind of moving towards her, and she ends up, the woman, they're moving together, right?
Yes. Yeah, because she. Well, I'm just going to call her Sheila.
Sure.
She said, "Ah," and was coming at her as she was, "Ah." Well, and then
she stabs her.
Yes.
Steffi stabs her in the kind of in the heart area right here.
Yes. Yes. And at first it looked like it was the shoulder.
That's what I thought.
But then it was, But, whew, boy.
So she goes down and she's bleeding heavily.
Yes.
And
Steffi did call 911.
She did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I don't
think she admitted. She just said, oh, she did say something about, I stabbed her, or it's Sheila or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was an intruder.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So that happens, and she ends up kind of bleeding out of her mouth and her left shoulder area.
Yes.
And she basically, it looked like she dies right there.
Yes, it does.
So the police show up, and two patrol officers, a male and a female, they show up. They start checking her vitals, etc. And and an ambulance. I'm sorry, firefighter was there, and they end up pronouncing her as she's gone. She's dead. Yeah.
So I have a question about that in terms of how that actually works. Can somebody in that position actually pronounce somebody dead? An officer or a paramedic?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
I will say though. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if they could actually do that because I thought it would be somebody that had more training in the medical field specifically, like a nurse or a paramedic.
I will say, and your question's a fair one, because what happens is they would, most ambulance services will, if there's any, unless they've been dead for like 3 days, where it's obvious.
Yeah.
They won't, but if there's any question or it's just like that, it just happened within minutes, they'll throw them in the ambulance and take them to the hospital and let the doctor at the hospital declare them. That's why most of the time, if it's something that's medically related and not clearly a death that occurred hours or days ago, they will they'll load them up and take them in for that very reason, Teri.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's I kind of thought there'd be a little bit more involved protocol to that.
Because from a death certificate standpoint, the only people that can sign it are doctors and coroners. Well, coroners are doctors.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've got a whole series of things I want to talk about coming up.
Okay.
What I consider blunders and how it would actually go.
Good. I want to hear those.
Okay.
All right.
And I think that might be next on my...
Is that it?
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say, the police, just to kind of finish this topic, is that the police start questioning Steffi about what happened. And they're questioning her story or motive a bit. And I'll talk more about that.
Okay.
Coming up.
Yeah. I was a little surprised by that. And one other thing.
Sure.
I know you'll probably touch on this, is why did that rug stay?
That
Why
I'm going to
didn't they?
touch on that.
Okay, good. All right.
You're getting good, Teri. You're
Yeah, well, I'm hanging around you
your
guys.
days of working in the news.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, the only other thing I was going to mention is Finn's reaction kind of surprised me a little bit. So Rich and Thomas show up as well as Finn at Steffi and Finn's house, and it ends up being that Finn's really upset with Steffi about you killed my mother or you have blood on your hands, basically.
Yes. And I'm thinking, what is the matter with you?
I know.
And I was glad to see that Ridge, said, hey, come on.
Call the spade a spade, yeah.
Yes, he did. And they did a good job. But it's going to be, that last scene where he's got his hand all full of her blood. It's like, okay, that was creepy. You dumbass.
I know.
Sorry.
That was weird.
But he also, he can't remember that Sheila also tried to kill his mom.
I know.
Not the birth mom.
I know. His adoptive mother that raised him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is going to get sudsy. Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Let's talk inaccuracies of what I call inaccuracies of the police.
Oh, please do.
And the stabbing story. Okay. So first, the patrol officers show up, and they end up handling the entire scene. No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and they start questioning her about her story and the motive. All that would be, all the patrol officers would end up doing in a case like that would be making sure the body is secured. That's not going to be disturbed. It's a crime scene.
Yes.
And so the biggest thing you need to do initially is you need to protect the crime scene. Make sure it doesn't get tainted with people coming in, touching everything, or stepping through blood, or whatever, to protect the scene. Secondly, they're not doing the questioning. That's going to come when the detectives arrive, because they're trained in how to interview and interrogate people. And that was clear. They made these guys look kind of,
Yeah, they did.
So that's how that would go. That's not realistic either.
Okay. I didn't think so either.
And then the other thing one more other thing is what you just brought up. They leave evidence at the scene. Okay.
Yes.
I.e. bloody rug where the victim bled out, which is what you brought out. That's evidence.
Yes.
It would be collected for trace evidence. In other words, hair, fibers, blood.
Yes.
Did the other person get bloody? I mean, you can tell about whether the scene is accurate in terms of, is Steffi telling me the truth? Does her explanation line up with what I'm seeing as evidence, or what kind of evidence we discovered? Right. So that whole thing is so TV drama.
Yes.
The other thing is they didn't search for any evidence like a phone from Sheila. No looking around for point of entry. Did she break in? Where did she come in? Et cetera, et cetera. Again, and no evidence processing showed up that we saw. Now, like you said, there's always things that occur that we don't know about. But the fact that no evidence team would show up there and leave that rug there. So
yeah, I thought that
crazy.
it was like, that's terrible. I would have known better than that. And okay, so
the other thing that normally would happen, Teri, is that on a suicide or a death investigation or kind of a gory scene of any kind like that, we have vendors that we would use that come out and clean up crime scenes. So when everything's been collected,
yes,
and a lot of times home insurance will pay for that.
Okay.
To where you come out and they'll they'll either rip the carpet out or they'll clean it. They'll clean up the crime scene, but that's after everything is done.
Yes.
Which clearly they're done because they're all gone.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the whole thing is just, it's so, you were right on. I mean, the whole scene is just kind of, that's not how that would go. But
I didn't think so. And why would they wait so long to get a detective out there? Wouldn't a detective want to be out there as soon
Right
as
away.
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Normally
what I
what would
thought.
happen is you'd secure the scene, those officers would. Plus you'd have
Uh-huh.
about 18 other cops showing up, usually.
Right.
And then at least a couple of detectives would show up, and then within a short time after that, a crime scene processing team would show up. So
Okay.
those people are all going to show up, and that's why it's like, okay. But
Yeah, that
then I'm
was.
like, Mark, it's a soap opera. Like I've
I
been preaching to
know.
you.
I know, but it really is interesting to have your perspective
Yeah,
on how this is really supposed to go.
yeah,
Um, it's fascinating, actually. So, thanks.
yeah, good. That was the funnest job, not homicides, but the funnest job I
Right.
ever had was an investigator. I mean, I loved it because it's a very challenging part of police work. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine it
Yeah.
probably is. And
It,
I would,
psychology is huge,
yes.
huge in that.
I was just thinking about body language
Yeah,
and all of that stuff too. Yeah, that would make a big difference.
yeah, oh, for sure.
Boy.
Yeah. All right,
Okay, it's a soap.
all right. I'm coming down to reality here.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right.
So, super sudsy questions. Will
Yes.
Luna tell RJ the truth, or will it be Zende or Poppy?
That is an excellent question, and one that I pondered as well in terms of Poppy telling him. That would be the ideal situation, is for Poppy to go to him and tell him what happened, and it's her fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it is her fault.
Yep, I agree.
So I think that would be the fairest for all of them. I don't know that she's going to own up to it, though, to
Yeah,
RJ.
I
I think
agree.
she's going to just try and say, don't
Don't
tell him.
him.
Don't tell
Yeah,
him.
don't tell him, which is what she's
And I
been
think,
saying so far. Yeah.
and I think that's wrong, just based on Luna's personality. That it's tainted
She can't live with
for
it,
her.
like you said
No,
earlier. I agree.
no.
There's no way she can carry on that relationship
Mm-mm.
without coming clean, or at least somehow RJ finds out about it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Next question. Will Luna leave RJ to spare him the pain of sleeping with Zende?
Boy, I hope not. I hope not. Especially now that there's that Eric thing about mentoring Luna. That would pose problems. But what might happen is that Luna doesn't say anything yet, but she's acting odd.
Mm-hmm.
And she's working with Zende because Eric wants her to. And then RJ overhears them discussing it. That's a possibility. That just popped into my head.
And I bet this will occur at Forrester, where somebody leaves their office door open.
Yes.
Right?
As always, yeah. Just leave that door wide open. That's fine.
I can totally see that, Teri. That happening.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a real one for you. Is the victim that was killed, is that really Sheila?
I know. It appeared that it was Sheila. We're led to believe that. She's coming back one way or another. My thought is she will haunt them.
From her grave?
If she's, yes.
Oh, if she's alive.
Yeah. Well, either way, because we're not going to know for sure yet. I mean, I think, yeah, everybody says she's dead, but like you say, I don't know. What do you think? I'm curious.
The only thing I think is, I didn't think of this, but Luann brought it up, but I also read it earlier today.
Okay.
is that I don't recall this, but if you go back moons ago, she had a gal named Sugar something. Sugar? Is it Sugar? In
Oh,
prison that was the warden, and she
yes.
helped Sheila escape way back at earlier.
Yes.
And this person that's on soaps.com was, to give them credit, is that they said that their theory is that Sheila paid her or convinced her, because she's not real bright, to
Right.
go to have plastic surgery done to look like that she would present it as to make yourself more beautiful. She wouldn't tell her that it's going to end up looking like me,
Right.
but that she does that. And then somehow she convinces her to scare Steffy, and this thing gets out of hand and Steffy kills her.
Wow. That's sudsy.
Yeah, I like that.
Ooh,
I mean, and I
I do
can't even take
too.
credit for that one, but that's a good
That's
prediction.
Yes, it is. Wow. Yeah, I like that one. Because come on, Sheila's a fantastic character.
Oh,
We've talked about that multiple times. So that's why I thought, well, maybe she would just haunt them, you know?
and she could. Yeah, that could very well happen.
Yeah.
Here's the other part of that this person was speculating that
Yes.
that Sheila, that all of a sudden the police, once they start putting it all together, they go to find the body, exhume the body or whatever, and they find, because they're going to be, well, she should have 9 toes.
Right.
So then they'll go back and see. But that person also said that she could also make sure that the surgeon took off one of her toes.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Teri, the toe.
yes, the toe. Oh, wow. Oh, that's really sudsy. This is
So we'll
going to
see.
get good. Yes.
Because I
Whew.
agree with you. I'm shocked unless they wrote her off, but I don't think so.
Well, she's still in the credits,
I know.
but then so is
Yeah, there's a
so
couple others that are
somebody.
gone. They're
Yeah.
still on there.
Yes. So,
So now
oh
we'll
boy.
see.
I want to see Lee's reaction
I
when
know.
she finds out she's going to come unglued on Finn
Oh,
if he doesn't
yeah.
take care of Steffi.
Good point. That's a really
Yep.
good point. I hadn't thought of that, but yes, because she thinks a lot of Steffi and
Yes.
hates Sheila for what she put them through. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And the decades of, yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Did you see where Finn, when he got all upset, he goes, "Liberty, liberty, liberty,
Bibberty.
liberty."
And that mustache.
Little commercial joke there when he does his
Yes.
Liberty commercials.
Yeah, that's
Our boy
pretty
Finn.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Teri.
I think Liam's another prediction.
Go ahead.
Liam is going to come sniffing.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Liam
brought
is
that
going to
up.
be all over that.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up, because here's what I would say about that is that Liam, I'm sorry, Finn and Steffi are going to have clearly, but I think it's going to
Yes.
continue, and they're going to have a falling out
Yes.
over Sheila's alleged death.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're right. I think Liam's going to be right there sniffing.
Oh, yeah. I would have protected you.
Yeah.
You did the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sure hope
Mhm.
Steffi doesn't fall for it, though, Teri.
I know. I can't stand Liam. And they're all worried about it. This was what I thought was stupid. They're all sitting talking. I'm really concerned about it. I'm really worried. Then he orders a pizza. You know, and they sit
Doesn't
there
fit.
talking. I can't find Sheila. Well, give me a pizza. You know, why are you not running to go find her?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, it's a soap. Calm down, Teri.
Oh, Teri, it's a counseling session in addition
It
to a
is.
podcast.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, until we dish again, Teri,
I'll keep it sudsy.
and we are out.